What a nasty crash. 30-mile-per-hour zone. How can this happen? Simple. If it's happy hour on a 4th of July weekend. That one took a big bump. Oh well. When the title said Ford Expedition, we weren't planning on showing this one. But Ford Expedition versus a PT Cruiser. Who do you think won? This is what happens when you have happy hour on a 4th of July weekend. Yep. Where is the tow truck? Ah, here he is. Here we are at the garage and test facility. Let's see what we're driving today. I hear it's something pretty big. Here they had trouble getting it in through the door. Well, let's see. A 2020 Ford Expedition SUV. I know some people have bought these and they can't even fit them in their garage. They don't make them as big as they used to. Bin houses aren't as big as they used to be either. And I see we have the Platinum version. That's translation. Means it costs a lot more money than the base. Just how much, I don't know. I haven't seen the price sticker yet. And here's a view from the rear. And they shipped it all the way from Michigan just for us. The base price of an Expedition runs $49,000 or $54,000, depending on what website you believe. But of course, you go down to the dealer, they have them loaded up with everything. You'll never get one at that price, unless they have big rebates going. The Platinum's loaded up with lots of standard equipment. I won't read it off, just show you here briefly. Anything interests you, just freeze the video. There's the warranty. And there you go, almost 80 grand, but it's still less expensive than its sister, the Lincoln Navigator. Those usually run over 100 grand. So we're getting a bargain here. Sort of. The first thing we want to do when we get a vehicle is make sure we got a spare tire. So let's look in here and see what we got. A jack under here. Spare tire must be underneath. Yep, you get a flat, you're going to have to crawl under there and get dirty. But that's okay, it's a full-size spare, so why complain? There's no V8 under the hood, just the 3.5 turbo, also known as a 3.5 liter EcoBoost. The base vehicle has a 375 horsepower rating. The Platinum comes with 400 horsepower, but you'll have to use super premium fuel to get it. Claimed fuel economy is 17 in the city, 22 on the highway, 19 overall. Hooked to a 10-speed automatic transmission. We will be taking this in real-world driving conditions, highway, off-road, city. Let you know what the real fuel economy is, so don't go away. In fact, this vehicle's been in our fleet for 2,263 miles, averaging 17.0 mpg. We don't know how they were driving. This is before I got my hands on it, but seems reasonable enough for a vehicle that weighs 6,000 pounds plus. More fuel economy figures coming up. For what it's worth, the computer does show that during those 2,000 miles we were averaging 37 miles per hour. If that means anything to you. And this is a very nice gauge cluster, has lots of useful information. Ooh, off-road status. We'll be using this later. The navigation screen isn't the largest I've ever seen, but will do. Radio controls are pretty simple. Climate controls, very simple, easy to use. The 10-speed automatic is shifted with a rotary knob, which takes up less space than a big stick. Works for me. And below the shifter we have a drive mode knob with a couple of buttons. Two-wheel drive on the left, four-wheel drive automatic on the right, which is an all-wheel drive system. Let's turn this dial, see what happens. Let's see, tow haul, mud ruts, sand, grass, normal, eco, yeah, on a vehicle like this. Sure, come back. Sport. Here we're back to the tow haul mode again. There's no 4x4 low range gearing for super serious off-roading, but this isn't what you buy a vehicle like this for. The four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive system will probably work just fine for most uses. We get a nice 12-volt outlet, but the glove box is embarrassingly small for such a big vehicle like this. Come on, guys, couldn't you have done something bigger than this? Even the Volkswagen GTI I'm driving this week has a glove box twice this big. One demerit right here. Fortunately, we get a good storage box in between the seats, and somebody left me some money. Not much. Maybe enough to get a candy bar at the local Q-Mart. This vehicle has potential to fit a lot of people in, but in this case we have 2 bucket seats in the front, 2 buckets in the second row, so already we're limited to 4. Now, how many you plan on fitting in the third row? Well, 3 kids, 3 monkeys, or maybe 2 full-size adults that you don't like. Overall, this vehicle will be a 6-passenger or 7 if you want to stretch it. But still a lot of room. A lot of other testers have been complaining about the cheap plastic used in this vehicle, and it's really not that bad. And why should they make it better? They want you to move up to a Lincoln Navigator if you want a better interior. It'll pass. The Platinum model comes with running boards that disappear when you close the door. Sometimes. Here we go. Okay, enough show and tell. Let's go to the second half of the video where we do driving. And let's do it while gas is still cheap. Although super premium is required for this, so it won't be that cheap. And we'll start off by taking these headlights out in the dark and see if they really work. Well, I know they're going to work, but will they work well? Look kind of small to me. Guess we'll find out soon enough. It's dark enough, we'll take these headlights out and see what they do. Look pretty bright to me. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Looks bright enough, great for city driving. Go to high beam. Ooh, pretty potent there. Here's what the camera system looks like in the dark. Well, sort of looks like. It's very clear in person, but my cheap camera doesn't seem to be picking up the image very well. It's far better than it looks on your end, trust me. And here we have the brights on the building 300 feet away. Definitely lots of light here. Good height, good spread, good low beam. Goes out about 80%. Rather low, but still goes out, more than adequate for city driving. And this is more than adequate for highway driving. Overall, these are pretty good lights. No complaints. The gauge cluster lights up very well too. A lot of testers have complained about the power steering on this vehicle, and yeah, it doesn't have much feel or feedback, but it is a truck after all. How many trucks have good feel or feedback? Other than that, it's not that bad. I don't think anyone's really going to complain that much. Not the buyers, anyway. Especially if you're used to driving a truck. So I'm giving it a pass. I was wondering where all this garbage is in our parking lot, but I forgot it was the 4th of July last night, and the illegal fireworks business is up and running. Someone had a lot of fun. Holy Toledo, that was a big one. Wonder how much that cost. Well, time to get the cleaning crew out. Yep, here comes the cleaning crew now with his little trash bag. Okay, on a more serious note, we're going to take this vehicle on some mild speed bumps at 20 miles per hour, as we do in all our videos, to evaluate the suspension performance on impact. If you hear any rattling noises, it's not the vehicle, it's the ice cubes in my drink. It's 101 degrees outside and it's early morning. Gonna get worse. Like so. There comes bump number 1. Pretty smooth. Bump number 2. Number 3. And here comes the nasty one. Felt it just a little bit, but still pretty smooth. But this is basically a large limousine, I would hope so. There are a lot of Ford fans out there that don't like the EcoBoost engines, prefer the V8, but look, this is a heavy vehicle, over 3 tons. If you want the horsepower and torque to pull all this weight, plus it also tows up to 9,000 pounds, the V8 just isn't going to cut it. You need this EcoBoost. The only drawback, you use the power, you use the fuel, but we'll talk about that later with the fuel economy test. Acceleration is more than adequate, again considering the weight. Brakes seem fine to me. We're going to set the trip meter to 0, take this out on a highway trip, see what type of fuel economy we can get, and we will be going from 1,500 feet to 6,000 feet, so of course the economy will be a bit lower than it would be on level ground. If you're in the habit of taking long highway trips, this is definitely the vehicle to have. Very smooth, quiet, and comfortable. While you're watching the gas gauge go down, that is. I'm very impressed with this 10-speed automatic transmission. A very smooth shifter always finds the right gear. In fact, it's so smooth I don't even feel it shifting most of the time. That combined with the torque of this EcoBoost makes hill climbing, these steep grades, very easy to do. I've made this trip several times before in the Ford V8 5.0. Got around 15 miles to the gallon. That was a 4x4 truck. Should be interesting to see if we get better on this. My experience has been that the 3.5 EcoBoost really doesn't get much better fuel economy than the V8, maybe 1 mile per gallon best. Guess we'll see. Now let's pull over and see what the fuel economy is. We're coming to the end of the line. Okay, 16.2 mpg. And as I said earlier, doing the same trip in the Ford V8 was 15.1. So slight increase in fuel economy, but not much. We're going to take this off pavement. After all, it is a 4x4. That's the good news. The bad news is I made the mistake of bringing some styrofoam ice chests. I really couldn't help it. They were a gift. And that was a big mistake. They're rattling on these leather seats. Squeak, 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 rattle. Driving me nuts. But there's nothing I can do about it now. Maybe put them on the roof. Yeah, that might work. Let's see if I've got some rope handy. How you doing? What an ugly mug. I'm gonna name you Hillary. Goodbye, Hillary. Well, let's see, we have some protesters out in the street tonight. There aren't any statues to tear down, so they're just going to sit out here and block the road. Move! I would think my squeaky ice chest would scare them off. It's certainly loud enough. Finally made it to the ranch. We'll do some patrolling before it gets dark. Looks like we're not going to be able to make the gate before dark. That means we'll have to spend the night. You can't be driving out here in the dark. And that brings up one pet peeve I have with this vehicle already. Every time you open and close the door, the tail lights and parking lights come on and stay on for around 20 to 30 seconds. This is not what you want when you're outdoors in the sticks in the middle of nowhere. It runs your battery down, it attracts insects. I've tried everything on the computer to disconnect this, and apparently you can't. If you know how, leave a comment in the comment section. I don't like this. If you do a lot of camping, you won't either. Well, this is not what I want to see. A full moon in the middle of nowhere. That means the vampire bat's going to be coming out trying to bite me on the neck. And that's when the skunks, scorpions, and snakes come out. But I'm stuck here, so if I don't finish this video and this is the end, you'll know what happened. Let's see if I can zoom in. That's a cheap camera. I think that's the best we're going to get. See you in the morning, I think. For those who like little gadgets on their screen, we have our off-road gauges for climbing Mount Everest. We won't be doing that today. I haven't measured the ground clearance on this rig, but it must be pretty high because I haven't banged on a rock yet. And we do have some pretty big rocks out here. Well, it looked like the field flooded the other day. Guess we'll have to turn back. Well, I couldn't get any 4x4 video from the inside of the vehicle because of all the squeaking noises from these styrofoam ice chests. And I couldn't get any 4x4 video on the outside because we had a nasty windstorm come in this morning. Around 30-35 mile per hour breezes. Blowing stuff all over the place. Sand getting in the camera. So, time to wrap up this video, I think. After all that dirty driving out in the desert, the car needs a bath. It'll be nice and squeaky clean, just like new. So what's my take on this giant Ford after a week of driving? It is a nice vehicle, no doubt about that, but you got to watch that option list or the prices can shoot up to the price of a small condo. If you're looking for something big, give it a shot. Here's some videos of other vehicles we've tested. Just click and watch.